From social media on up to President Zelenskyy, Ukrainians have begged the West to close the airspace above their country, saying they will fight on the ground, but they need NATO-supported help to protect from Russian attacks from above. But that decision is a difficult one. Many fear it would mark the beginning of the next World War. Joining us this morning from Washington, D.C. is Representative and Marine Jake Auchincloss. We know that this is an attack on democratic freedom, and we've seen these reports that Russia has used banned weapons in their fight, among other war crimes that have been reported. We've also seen photos, one that just came out yesterday, of abandoned preemies at a hospital, a dead child being run into an emergency room by his parents. Most people are just absolutely shocked by the inhumanity of this war. And yet, closing down the airspace means taking down any aircraft that would attempt to cross into it. So obviously that would be a very provocative stance.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. You're right that the scenes from Ukraine and the situation on the ground is unacceptable. Freedom is under attack right now, and the free world's way of life, and we all rally around the Ukrainian cause. But a no-fly zone, as you say, is not just provocative, it's actually an act of war between two nuclear-armed powers. I think it's important to start from first principles, because the focus on a no-fly zone in Congress is a premature and unhelpful conversation right now. From first principles, what we want is to be able to protect the skies with our Ukrainian allies. And we are shipping tremendous amounts of military equipment, surface to air, air to air, counter drone, electronic warfare, satellite equipment that allows them to maintain air parity where they're at now and even gain air superiority. Because as you say, the Ukrainians are fighting very effectively on the ground, and gaining the advantage in the sky could tip the balance.
I'm curious, so we're supporting, Ukrainians in that way with tactical decisions. Our diplomacy has unfortunately largely failed. The sanctions, have had an impact, but not enough to shut this down. Is there a point at which, we have to decide if American lives should be risked in the defense of freedom? And is that the feeling in Washington? I mean, what's in the air right now? Are people feeling as though that we may and should go to war?
To your point about diplomacy and red lines, I would expect right now that the Biden administration is consulting with the Chinese and trying to lay out that any chemical weapons or biological weapons attacks on the ground in Ukraine would precipitate not just an American-led no-fly zone, but a no-fly zone supported by the Chinese, and that would be a incredibly monumental step forward in our engagement there. But chemical or biological attacks in Ukraine need to be considered as an elevating step. I also want to point out that we can be very effective in attacking Russian forces in Ukraine actually without risking American troops, and that's through cyber warfare. The United States has incredibly effective forward deployed electronic warfare capabilities to hit logistics and command and control nodes in Ukraine of Russian forces. You get the nerds and the grunts together, and I've been both in my career, and I can tell you that they do good work together, and they can disable what's already a pretty ineffective logistics and C2 capabilities for Russia in a way that is tremendously supportive of both Ukrainian air and ground attacks.
Let me just make sure I understand what you're saying there. The cyber maneuvers that the U.S. would make, because we know that the Russians and Chinese also have their own cyber maneuvers, which are also very powerful and effective. But the cyber maneuvers that we would make, you're saying that we could actually frustrate their tactical and logistical forces? Like, would we be frustrating their, the software that tells them when to roll out their tanks and that sort of thing?
That's exactly right. So much of modern warfare is done over radios. It's done through satellite communications. You got the Russians, they're all in their separate tanks. They're talking to each other, sometimes actually over clear channels right now because their equipment is broken down. They're trying to coordinate their air attacks. Missiles and planes are constantly in communication with ground-based equipment. All of that is happening with electronic equipment, and the United States has extremely effective electronic warfare capabilities to disable or frustrate that equipment. And it doesn't sound glamorous, and I understand that it doesn't sound like the kind of direct assault that we feel like Putin deserves right now, but boy, can it really bog down a ground invasion.
Let me just, I have to let you go, but let me just ask you this real quick, because as we're waiting for President Zelenskyy to address, the United States, all of the decision makers, what's your take on him in terms of his decision to stay where he is, in terms of him fighting, in terms of him asking for help? What's your take on him as a person?
He's a hero, and he is an exemplar of the moral clarity that I think so many of us have gravitated to. So many of the challenges that we face in the 21st century, from public health to climate change to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, have been ambiguous in their nature and have been very frustrating for us to try to galvanize momentum around. But this is a war between freedom and autocracy, and it is an extremely morally binary situation that I think is resonant with so many of us, and Zelenskyy has become the face of it.
Representative Jake Auchincloss there in Washington, D.C., awaiting the address of Ukraine's president, as we all are, and that will be coming to you at 9 a.m. Thanks for joining us.